Well, welcome to Leicester Fan TV. Yes, we're live early. It's Bank Holiday Monday. I know it's meant to be 7:30, but you'll forgive me. I've got a film to watch. I've got chips on the way. It's time to have a beer. I'm sure, like you, let's talk Leicester City for the next 30 minutes. What is it you want to talk about? It was, as I said on Saturday, a win is a win. That was my take on what happened on Saturday. It wasn't that pretty. It was better than the Preston game, maybe not. We want to know your views and comments. But the biggest thing for me was it was 3 points. I think if I was a Charlton fan, I'd feel slightly aggrieved that we actually nicked it off them. I think they would think they certainly earned a draw, maybe more. But I want your views and your comments in the next 20 or 30 minutes. Let me know what you think to what happened on Saturday. So please do get your views in, get your comments in, and let us know everything with Leicester City. There's transfers to chat about too.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors.
So yes, welcome to the show. We've got 30 minutes to talk about everything that's going on at Leicester City. Let me know what you think to the result at the weekend. Of course, we've got Birmingham to look forward to on Saturday night. We've got transfers, lots of transfers going out. Zero coming in. There's a couple of small rumours, but not a lot to chat about. So let me know what you think about it. Of course, as ever, good evening, Wayne. Hope you're well. Wayne goes on to say 3 points were the main thing. You can let us know by your comments what you think. 3 points was the main thing. And I'm also going to share in here. If anybody wants to join us on camera, you can just click on that link. So feel free, come on camera, or just let me know your comments to what's going on at Leicester City at the moment. Yeah, 3 points is 3 points. That's the main bit. It's 2 wins now out of 3 in the league. Starts to, this time last week, we were talking about being a poor start to the season. I think that started to make it not quite so bad. The main thing is to get those points on the table. And I think at Charlton, we were slightly lucky. Do you agree with that or do you not agree? Wayne goes on to say Friday night is Birmingham. Birmingham's going to be a tough test, the King Power, isn't it, Wayne? I'm going to be interested to see what happens there because they've obviously had a really decent start to the season. They'll be coming to the King Power, fancying some points, fancying at least some draw. Would you say a draw is good enough against some Friday night underneath the lights on TV? I don't know. I think we could perhaps be nice to get through, of course, but you know, so far it's been a little bit of a steady start. Glenn says here, very lucky to get them though. Yeah, I agree. Like I say, I think if I was a fan, I feel like I'd done enough on the pitch to warrant at least a draw, if not all the points. There was some good points for Leicester on Saturday. Was that what was some of your highlights for there? Obviously, Batua's goal was a screamer. Took it really well. I thought on the whole in the first half, Batua actually, he was trying little bits and bobs, which I'm not going to knock him for that. I think it's great that he tries the bits, but he didn't really, none of it came off for him before half time. Second half, a little bit more, but he had that one flash which showed us what he can do. So excellent for Batua for the goal. But his performance, what do you think? Let me know what in there. Gary says he thinks it should have been a draw. I think a draw would have been about a fair result, to be fair. But they had enough chances. And again, that leads us on to Jakub Stolicic, who was probably our man of the match. I saw a lot of people say it was Hamza. I think I gave it in my books to Jakub. I thought he made up for his complete crazy first goal mistake at Preston, where I literally was watching it going, I know what this kid's doing. But second game away at Charlton, he made up for it. Match in my books. Do you agree with that or not? Scott says, interesting to see that we're being linked with players now. Well, yeah, Scott, finally, there are a few links. And nothing that's leaping out, if I'm honest, but there is a few in there. JJ's gone. Bilal, I can only assume Bilal's going in the next couple of days, left out the squad. You probably heard what Cifuentes after the game, that he took him out the limelight because it's a lot for a young kid to try and deal with. So obviously we've got rid of Ndidi, we've got rid of Mads Hermansen. Bad game for Mads. again against Chelsea on Friday. Did you see a couple of those goals? I thought the fourth goal against Mads Hermansen was particularly his fault. But hey, it's a different standard playing against, isn't it? Andy says here, Saturday show, once again, we seriously need a striker. Andy, I couldn't agree with you more, to be fair. I thought Jordan Ayew overall, I think he's going to contribute this season for us. He's going to have some games where he's maybe a 5 or 6 out of 10. Some games he's maybe going to be a 6, 7, maybe an 8 out of 10. He's always getting involved. It's not always brilliant, but the one thing he really isn't going to get you over the season, Andy, is it? Is 15 goals, 20 goals. He might, if he played a lot of games this season, you kind of think maybe he could get to 8, 9, 10, 11 goals, which would be great for a supporting striker. But there was some really interesting stats. I was watching Sky Sports where they said every team who gets promoted scores at least 40 to 45 goals from their strike force, their 3 main strikers. And that effectively is a main striker getting you 20, 22, 23, 24 goals. And then a secondary striker getting you 12 or 13, 14 goals. And a third striker weighing in with 7, 8 or 9 goals. That's what they say. And often, and the stats don't really lie. You need 40 to 45 goals from your front 3 who's interchanging over the season. And I just don't see that at the moment. Decker just doesn't get anything. And Ayew, I don't see him do it in there. Lee is having a joke there. Daka for captain. Justin just been confirmed to Leeds. Thank you, Andy, for that. If it's literally just happened now, that's really interesting. I think we all knew it was happening. He was left out on Saturday for his little injury. Sure. Which is fair enough. But I actually think, I want to know what you think about James Justin. I thought that was all right, 8 million quid. Anyway, I've put the link out there. I'll share it one more time. Jamie Reid, the legend that is Reedy, has clicked on it. So let's get him on now. Don't forget, you can join in. Reedy, good evening to you.
Hello, how are we doing?
Good. Reedy, JJ, 8 million quid plus 2 million for add-ons. I'm assuming those add-ons are probably going to be if Leeds stay up. Forgive me there. He's never going to go to Chelsea. But 8 million quid for a player. I really like Justin at his peak, but I think that's fair enough, isn't it?
Yeah, again, it was literally just announced at 6 o'clock when we went live. So, yeah, it's done deal. I probably say now I'm glad that he's gone in the fact of we wouldn't have got anything for him next year. So, kind of glad we've got some money for him. I don't think he's a key player. Again, he fits into their first 11, but again, I think there's certain players that we could probably have in that team that could take the spot. Again, someone like Koulibaly, we've not seen him at all this season already. Is there a chance that he can come in now?
He's not very good, really.
Well, we never know.
I'm afraid.
We never know.
I think we do know with Koulibaly, mostly because Rude. I don't even know who signed Koulibaly, but Rude didn't fancy him, and Marty Cifuentes clearly doesn't fancy him because he's barely had much pre-season and he's just not in the squad. So for me, I hear what you're saying, but I don't see Koulibaly being a replacement for Justin. He's nowhere near a caliber.
I'm not saying he would be the replacement. I'm just saying that I don't think JJ being at the club is a necessary thing. I think there's a few players that could go there. Again, Ricardo Perez back fit. Maybe he slots in that right back role now as the captain. I don't know. I'll probably prefer him in the midfield role. But again, we've got players to cover him. I don't think he was he has to stay at the club. Like for me, like a Winks, where realistically, as much as just maybe bad attitude and whatnot, for me, he's levels above the midfielders we've got. So right now, I don't really mind that JJ has gone.
Scott says, could Koulibaly be pushing for a move, hence not in the squad? I think there is a chance that he could end up going somewhere. He's one of those signings, really, Koulibaly, for me, who we've signed and then just gone, whoa, that doesn't fit what's going on at the club.
Yeah, again, I think the first glimpses of Koulibaly when we saw him, I don't think he actually was that bad. Again, the Arsenal game last season, I think there was another one as well where he came in. I don't think he looked that bad, but it just seems like is he good enough, or does he not suit the style of play? I don't know, but again, why if he's not suiting it, then why did we buy him in the first place? I'm not sure.
No, I have no idea either. I think it was a bit of a panic buy, and it was the wrong. I don't know why we bought fullback in January. It wasn't the right move at all in there. Tony says if £50 million banked, essentially, we get a striker. And if Bilal goes, we need a replacement. So JJ's gone. I think most fans will say, thanks, JJ. You were decent, but it's time to move on. But replacing El Canouse when he goes, Reedy, that's not going to be so easy. Lewis Page on Saturday, young lad, and I thought he got bossed out the game, to be fair.
Yeah, he did. Again, that's the one player for me that I think if you do sell, that's where you have to strengthen. Obviously, I know people wanting a striker, but out of all the players we've sold already or we're looking to sell, now obviously JJ's gone. I don't think there's many other players that are looking to go other than El Canouse. But yeah, if El Canouse goes now, we've got to find
I
a
think you
replacement.
find Winks and Fazer and Victor
No,
Christensen.
they're not. There's no actual confirmed concrete rumours to say they actually are leaving. Whereas El Canouse is basically.
Winks has had three teams interested in him. Victor
Oh yeah, but they're
Christensen's
not.
two wanted by Forest. Buys anybody can have him.
Okay, Faze, yes, I will agree. There has been concrete evidence that even Fabrizio said, but Winks hasn't been actually came out by any reliable Leicester journalist and says he's making a move or people are interested.
No,
people have just been rumoured around.
Journalists have said that teams are interested in Reedy.
Have they?
Been in the news. Yes. Yeah.
I know people can just put rumours out there, but
no. Reliable journalists have said that teams are interested in Harry Winks.
Well, again, as much as people might not like him for what happened the last few years, for me, if he goes, then I think we're in a complete hole, really. Well, only because I think the level of him compared to a Skip or someone like that, for me, is night and day different. Again, when Winks came on against Sheffield Wednesday and again against Charlton, for me, it just shows the quality that he has compared to other players.
John says here, how much money do we need to make from sales of players before we can start spending to bring that in? Reedy, I want you to answer that. I'm just going to quickly say, John, when we got relegated last time, we sold 90 million quid's worth of Harvey Barnes and Maddison, and that balanced the books. And then we didn't really spend that much in the Championship, a little bit. I think we're looking at a similar figure this year. I think we need to sell 70, 80 million quid's worth, which with El Canouse will hit the 80 million. I don't think we're going to spend a lot of it, John. Do you read it?
Well, you'd hope so. Again, we don't know the ins and outs and how much we. Well, you say that, but there's every chance we'll buy like a £5 million player that won't get into the team.
No, I think that's where the budget will be, is 3 to 15 million for one or two players if you're looking.
But then again, this is where if we are selling the likes of El Canouse, you need to start spending. I wouldn't say all the money you're allowed to spend, but for instance, if we've got 80 million in the kitty and we're only allowed to spend 30 mil of it, you have to spend all of that on the key players you need.
All of the 30.
Yeah. So if we've got 80 million in the kitty and you're only allowed to spend 30 of it to get to buy players, for me, when you lose the likes of El Canouse, you've got to go out and buy a £15 million player to fill that role. Because for me, if you buy another £5 million player, he's just not going to be good enough.
I agree with Andy. I think we'll have 10 to 15 million max to spend. But if that's what it is, Andy, and I said this to you earlier, Reedy, I think we need to go and buy one or two players who actually are first team. That is where they're clearly in. Not squad players. I don't want to hear any of this. And nothing too young, and he could be good next year. For me, we need one or two players who go straight into that starting 11. That's what we're missing. The striker being obvious. If El Canouse goes, it's somebody creative in the middle as well.
No, I agree. Again, for me, if you do lose, like I say, for me, El Canouse is the only one I could probably go out and say, if you lose him, you've got to replace. Again, JJ, I don't think you have to replace. And Didi, again, we are kind of a bit light in midfield, but for me, if El Canouse goes, that is the one position you need to make sure you get a first team player for. And we're just talking about Faze as well. I think, if anything, out of all the players we've had in that defence over the last few games, I would actually go out and say that Faze has been the best out of the lot. When he played.
It's Page's first game. Given time, wait till he gets his first goal. He'll fly like King did. Listen, Richard, I think he will be. I'm just saying, being honest, I thought he and like some of the other younger lads were bossed out of it, bullied out of it by Charlton. Luke Thomas bullied quite hard out of that game.
It's because Charlton, a Charlton team who have just come up and the way they play is very aggressive. I even said when I was in the stands, I even said that when I saw Louis Page start, I really couldn't see him getting into the game because the amount of aggression that Charlton had, it just wasn't the right game for him. But again, we had to put someone in there for El Canouse. So maybe it was just a bit too early for him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Dorco says, week to go, don't panic buy. Stay up this season and promotion next season. Keep our money for next season. Dorco's very, very sensible there. Most of us will be like, no, let's go for it. I think I'm starting to think this is a transition year, and this is probably a year to stabilise if we're getting rid of this many players, really. I don't think we're going to get that many players in.
We're not going to get that many players in, but then I'd go out and say that majority of the players we've either got rid of or who have left last season or which we're looking to sell. For me, I don't think there's that many players that you could go out and say, well, like I said earlier, if it maybe indeed he's one of the only names you'd probably go and say that you need to keep otherwise, but we got some money for him. But again, I still think we've got one of the better teams in the league, even if we do lose El Khanous, but you just need to make sure we spend that money wisely and not just go for a player that's just going to be in and out of the squad every week. It
just depends how many go as well, really. I know Tony Smith says if we don't get promotion, we'll lose Abdul and Monga next year. I think you're right. I think Monga could go at the end of the year, whatever, Tony. Like Jude Bellingham, he could go very quickly to a big club. You say we lost Ndidi and, maybe we can cope without him. I keep going back to the one person we can't cope without replacing at the moment is Jamie Vardy. I just think we're just bonkers if we're trying to do a season without a striker, really. We knew Vardy was leaving again before the end of next season. Surely we've been eyeing somebody else. We've missed out on that Kone who went to QPR. That to me would have fitted this year. Young lad, hungry, 3 million quid. If it didn't work, we'd just go, well, it didn't work.
I get the point of it, and it is hard because again, right now we don't know if we're going to get anyone in. Like say our main priority would be a striker, but then you go out and say that because we don't know the back end story of stuff. But Cifuentes might be a real big fan of AU because he has played every single game already. Starting anyway.
He's not going to get you enough goals.
He's not.
We all know that. Cifuentes will know that. You need.
No, I get that, but
he's not going to get you 20 goals.
We might not even have the option to be able to spend to buy a striker. So right now we're looming around it, and again we should have enough money. But
if we can't afford 3 million quid on Kone.
No, I get that. Yeah, so that's what I mean.
We really are in a mess.
And I'm sure Kone would prefer to have come to a Leicester than a QPR. So yeah, we he weren't in our targets in the fact of we've been looking around, but the rumours just came out that we were looking at him. But yeah, if not, then that's pretty poor from Leicester to not be able to spend that little.
I just think he's the sort of player this season where, with budgets tight, he goes on that younger side, hungry. For me, he would have ticked a lot of the boxes. I don't know if he'd have scored many goals, but as we've seen with Daka and even Ayew coming in and other strikers we've had over the years, it's not easy to buy any striker and say they're going to score a hatful, is it? Slimani, Musa, none of them. Kramaric, you go back and back. We've had loads of strikers. Chris Wood, let him go. Obviously, it took him a good few years to come through.
We've had what, 2 defenders score now. We've had a midfielder score and 1 winger score. So I like the range of different goal scorers, but it's not because we decided to. It's more because we were quite lucky to get the 2 defenders scoring against Sheffield Wednesday, and then the quality goal from Abdul. But again, we've not even seen the likes of AU or Daka even getting a good chance to score. So
yeah, Richard says, I've seen Kone a fair bit. He's not better than Daka. No, but he may not have been, but he's a young lad on the way up. I think Daka's had plenty of chances. Tony says, Ayew in 3 games has barely had 1 shot on target. Actually, that's not true, Tony, I tell you. But he's actually, I believe, statistically, player in the Championship, but he was up until Saturday, who's had the most
I did see that,
out of any player. So
I think he had about 11 shots and not one of them's gone in.
Yeah. But Tony might be right to say he's barely had 1 shot on target because I think most of them haven't been on target, but he has had a lot of shots. And he has been working quite hard. He wasn't brilliant on Saturday, though. Tom says they'd be happy to get Stengs if we can keep him fit. Champion signing, not sure about that one. Do you know what you're nodding, really?
Yeah, apparently been leaked out. Even Sky Sports come out and said that Leicester have been eyeing up this winger from Feyenoord in the Netherlands. So again, looking at a winger, is it necessary?
We don't need a winger, though. We don't need a winger, do we?
I don't know. We've
got Monga. We just don't need another winger.
We probably
We
don't.
clearly need a number 9. We clearly need a striker. If
This
we
is
don't
what
buy a
we're
striker,
looking at,
if we
though.
buy a winger, I'd just
Out
like,
of fans'
why are we
point of
doing that?
view, out of fans' point of view, maybe so. But maybe
Well, no, that's
maybe
just sensible.
Cifuentes is looking at Mavadini and thinking he might not be Michael Petit and he might need someone else. I don't know. We don't know. We don't know the back end of stuff, and we really don't know what's happening. Again, Mavadini was out against Charlton. Do we know why? I don't know if we do or not, but
12 goals. Listen, you never know. I hope he does, Andy, but he's still not having a week off. I mean, to be fair, if you saw the amount of work he does, Andy, in a week, then he has a week off most weeks. That's not true, is it, really? You and me, we were in work today, weren't we?
look at that.
We were in bloody work today. Steng's injury record is horrible. Fitting well at Seagrave, yeah, be perfect in there. And he says he plays attacking midfield as well in there. I don't think we need a winger. I think it's daft to be looking at a winger.
Unless he is coming, unless we have looking.
Well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe he's a replacement for El Canus. I don't know.
Yeah, I think if you're going to you need somebody who can play the role. Let's stop putting square pegs in round holes. Ayew is not a striker, nor is Daka really. Well, Daka really is a striker, and Ayew has played a lot of striking roles. So it's going to be interesting. Listen, Reedy, I'm going to wrap up early. Thanks for joining us. We've got a lot going on this week. Birmingham, just briefly, your thoughts on Birmingham, Reedy? It's going to be a big one.
Toughest one out the lot already, isn't it? The first 4 games, including Birmingham, you probably would have said. Like I said, when I saw the fixtures, I went, do you know what? The first 3 games are pretty standard. Again, you should be getting some wins out of them, but the Birmingham one is the first, big one that you either need to just not lose it to, or get a good result and a win in there. But yeah, it's going to be a hard one. That's all I can say. Again, we don't know whereabouts they're going to be finishing. Again, they're like Wrexham. We really don't know how they're going to do from just coming up from the League One. So it could go anywhere.
We all want a win. Draw's not the end of the world, but like you say, we'll know more on Friday night where it all goes, really. Because let's say we don't want to lose at home to these. Because at the moment, I'm just on the side of the fence where I go, it's been an okay start. It's been okay, not brilliant, but it's been okay. 2 wins in the league out of 3. If you carried on at that rate, we'd be there or thereabouts, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I agree. I could say, like I say, last time in the Championship, we played Southampton and Ipswich, and we didn't lose. We didn't lose to any of them, I don't think. So, again, it's just about making sure you just don't lose to these sort of teams where, if you think they're going to be up there by the end of the season, you just need to make sure you don't drop points to them. Don't give them all the points. So.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, listen, Reedy, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks everybody for your comments. I'll see you next Monday. We'll have a proper normal time, but we'll see you very, very soon. Cheers.